Tiverton has done its bit to help the lungs of the earth as part of a national tree planting day of action. The Woodland Trust's big climate fightback saw young and old get out with their shovels to plant saplings in parks, fields and gardens across the nation. Here in Tiverton, the recently formed Tiverton Tree Team got to work at sites including Knightshayes and the Tiverton Adventure Playground.
Yeah, it's been really great. We've done one site already this morning, put 200 trees in on a piece of private land. Lots of community involvement, lots of people came along, did it in an hour really. The whole lot were planted, so that's a really good feeling, and that's been nice to come down here, do a bit of specialist planting fruit trees for the children.
Just how important is it to get out and do this?
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, we have a climate emergency basically, and it is one way we can engage the community in that to actually try and do something about that. So tree planting, it's been absolutely fantastic. We've had lots of donations. We've had people offering their bits of land. We've got donations of trees and money, and the volunteers coming to help us. So yeah, no, everyone's on board with this.
The Mayor of Tiverton also praised the enthusiasm of the new group.
It's great because it is an important day. It's National Tree Planting Day, and we're certainly doing our fair share here in Tiverton. Thanks to the Tiverton Tree Team, I think I've got 4 plantings today. The one here at the Adventure Playground is the second of the day. They'd already planted 250 before they got here, and now we've planted some fruit trees. So, because obviously I am a trustee and director of the Tiverton Adventure Playground, it's brilliant to see all this activity going on here, and it is so important obviously for the environment, for the future, and the Adventure Playground is all about kids and the future of the kids, so I think we're really doing something very positive for the future, and it's just great that the tree team have got so many trees and they're working so hard towards our future.
Also supporting the cause were prospective parliamentary candidates, including incumbent Member of Parliament Neil Parish, who planted a very special oak tree.
It's great, and I really pay, full marks to Extinction Rebellion for actually organising this for the Adventure Playground here to have these apple trees. We're also going to I'm going to plant an oak tree in a minute, which Extinction Rebellion gave to us up in London, and it's really lovely to have a practical way of taking carbon out of the atmosphere. That oak tree will grow and take a lot of carbon over the years, and it's lovely to have so many children and others really being involved, because it's there for their future as well as ours that we're doing this.
Hi, yes, I'm really excited to be out in the fresh air and really getting back out to nature, and obviously we need billions of trees. It sounds like a lot, but it can actually really easily be done. We can plant trees on public land, on NHS land, and it's actually I think we're talking about planting trees at a rate of about 70 million per year. So that's 70 million per year is only one per person. So if we scale that up, everybody gets involved, then it's really an achievable target. Yeah.
And the debate between the two politicians got climate activist, filmmaker and local legend Franny Armstrong asking some more broader points on climate change ahead of the general election. Here's her interview with the two candidates in full.
Thank you both so much for coming down to the Tiverton Tree Team. First planting day. By 11 o'clock this morning we'd already planted 250 trees.
Amazing!
So it's going well. We've got 4 sites across the area, and I think about 110 volunteers out this morning.
Fantastic.
So thank you both for coming down. I believe you're planting an almond tree.
Fantastic.
And you're planting the oak that you were given by Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah, don't worry, I've planted lots and lots of trees on my own farm and still planting them, so there's no lack of trees, I can promise you.
Good.
Almond trees need a lot of water, so we've been in luck recently.
But with almond trees you've got to make sure you water them through the summer as well, because it's the first summer where they need to be kept going in order to root properly, otherwise they die. So it's not just about planting the trees, it's looking after them afterwards.
That is true. So I'm sure you both know that Mid Devon has recently committed to go to net zero by 2030, just 10 years time to completely reduce our emissions. And obviously you're both standing for our parliamentary candidate. If you became our MP, how would you get Devon down to net zero in just 10 years, mid-Devon?
Well, we have a transformational approach to carbon net zero, and we're going to be creating offshore wind farms, putting solar on public buildings, putting solar on low-income houses, so that will reduce fuel poverty, as well as resolving some of the problems with our energy. We're going to be looking at public transport, putting freight on rails, research and development into those kind of things.
I think it's about 24%, I think, of Devon's total emissions is transport. It's all those cars on the roads. What are you going to do about them to get them to pretty much zero? How will you do that?
Well, I think we live in a rural area, so public transport is a big part of it, but also our free broadband policy is going to be able to let people live at home. Our affordable housing policies is going to let them live in rural communities instead of commuting. And also we're going to be putting research and development into developing the electric vehicles that will allow people to get around, and investing in the charging network, billions of pounds in the charging network, so that it's practical to have electric cars, and also putting the making them available for rent as well. We're going to make 30,000 cars available for rent.
Neil, how would you do it? Net zero in 10 years.
The rural areas, the transport, and of course agriculture,
Absolutely.
tractors, all of these things we need to actually improve the efficiencies. We've also got not only look at electric cars and charging points, we've also got to look at the hydrogen fuel cell.
It's not really a question of looking at now, though, is it? We've got to go to zero in 10 years.
That's why the money is there to actually, and we are developing this in this country to actually get it done. But like I said, it's not just about signing up and saying the billions of pounds and move it here. We've actually got to find the way to do it, because I've done inquiries in the past into air quality. It's how we deal with it. And of course here in this area you've got a lot of people not only that travel around, you've also got farmers with trailers, you've got people with horse boxes. The hydrogen fuel cell will be much better, that type of engine to actually pull. The trouble with electric cars is they'll burn their motors out as soon as you start to pull heavy loads. Lorries are another big issue. We can get more onto rail, but we will still need lorries. So
what about reopening the rural railways?
Yeah, I mean I've been working for the last 5 or 6 years now on the metro for Metro Rail which will come down through from Wellington, open the station in Cullompton.
When will that be ready?
That one will. We have now got the Great Western Railway and others to actually agree to the timetabling and how it can be done.
Yep.
And so therefore it's making sure that you've got the loops and everything, so that the little trains, when they're on, don't get in the way of the main line station.
But it needs to be on in the next couple of years, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But
and rural buses as well.
We are getting on with it. And like I said, I think the one thing you have managed to achieve, and I pay great credit to you, is you've certainly upped the political agenda. And don't think I spend a cross-party committee trying to get these things done, so you don't have to shoot me, all right? Because I am actually getting on with it.
We don't want to shoot anybody. What we want to do is protect these children here.
Absolutely right.
I was
in favour of that.
I was out on the streets with them in Exeter yesterday, and seeing them chanting, whose future, our future. That's what it comes down to, doesn't it? And our generation and generations above have failed them.
They have, but also we've got to make sure that we maintain a lifestyle and actually get people to adapt much greener methods. But we've also got to remember that we have a big rural population in this here that's got to be also catered for. And so as we move towards getting rid of gas boilers and oil boilers and all of these things, this has all got to be done practically, because I don't want everybody to freeze, and they're not going to, don't get me wrong, but we just got to make sure we look at this properly and not just get and say, well, it will be done, yes, but we have got to find the way of doing it.
It's not just about people adapting, though. I mean, that's part of it. Obviously, reduce, reuse, recycle is a big part of it. Everybody has to take responsibility, but it can't be done by individuals on the market. It has to be a transformational approach. We have to, and we're going to bring in a transformational approach that creates the green energy, creates the green transport, and that has to be coordinated by a big government push to generate these things.
So if you got in here, would you start building, for example, onshore wind again, which, as we know, the Tories have pretty much put a stop to?
Labour's policy is to build 20,000 onshore wind turbines, and I think there's about 70,000 offshore wind turbines in 37 offshore wind farms, and that's going to green at least 60% of our energy on its own by 2030.
We've got the largest in the world offshore wind. We've had, in the last 10 years while I've been a Member of Parliament, we've seen a massive increase in solar power. So we are getting there. But in the end, you've got to actually look at ways that taking people with you, because they will have to change their lifestyles. It won't be everything to do with the state. The state can't cure everything. It's got to be done with people as well. And if people buy into it, it's like the smoking ban or anything else. Once they really get into it, and that's the exciting part of what you are doing. Not all state run. It will be very much about what people want to do and how they want to run their lives. Because if you go out every night and you on social media and you've got to have new clothes every night, that's not the way to do it. And so therefore, all of these things, if you're looking at resource, let's for goodness sake say to people, and I don't want to lecture people, I just want to bring them with me.
Yeah, we need citizens' assemblies to bring all the communities on board as well. Yeah.
So if you win the seat on 12th of December, will we be seeing a citizens' assembly here?
Absolutely, yeah. We're going to be seeing citizens' assemblies everywhere.
And you, Neil?
I tried to get the select committee to go with a citizens' assembly. Haven't achieved that yet, but we will certainly look at how they will work here in Tiverton.
I think the time for we will look has really passed now. It's action now. We need it. It's desperate. The UN is saying we've got 12 years left.
That's right, and that's
why
these
children will have no future.
Britain's targets are now ahead of the G7. We are actually leading the way. And what you also got to remember is that we amount for 1.5% of the world's carbon. And so therefore we have to take the rest of the world with us. China, America and all of these. Yes, lead the way, but in ourselves it's great what we're doing, but for goodness sake, let's make sure we use that as a bargaining tool with the rest of the world, because that's what will affect.
Well, the best way to be able to make a bargain is to be part of the negotiation, isn't it? For example, in the EU, the biggest negotiating bloc in the world, who've just this week declared a climate emergency. So we should stay in the EU, shouldn't we?
No, we should not, because we will cooperate with the European Union. We will still be a very powerful voice in the G7, and I suspect we'll have probably a slightly more influence over what America might do than the EU. So let's not say everything is down to what the EU do, because there is life, believe it or not, outside the European Union.
Will tell.
People like Norway and Switzerland and all sorts of countries actually live outside the European Union, and I would suggest to you there's nobody much greener than the Swiss. So let's not actually get carried away that it's only the European Union that can create a green economy.
I think the Norwegians are
Franny, I do want to say that at the heart of Labour's policy is to assess the carbon footprint of our offshore production as well. So any trade agreement that Labour negotiates is going to have absolutely carbon impact at its heart, as well as all the public procurement that we do within the UK as well.
Of course, because it's something that the Tories do like to say, that look at China, blame China, but of course that's because they're all building all the consumer stuff that we use, and then we're not including that embedded energy. If we included all of those things that were being built in China for us,
it's not just,
the picture would be very different.
I don't think it's just Tories that buy clothes, and so therefore the consumerism that's here, we all have to look at what we buy. Also, you go back to wind turbines, massive amounts of concrete going in the ground. Actually, the tidal lagoons as well as nuclear power and all of these things are actually all part of the mix to make sure that we get our green energy. I'm not actually convinced that yourself, if you put up a wind turbine, I've seen them done, you've probably got a square of concrete probably as large as here before they go up, and then you've got all the mechanisms and the gearboxes that go wrong.
And tidal lagoons are in every.
I farm by the second highest rise and fall in the world, off the Severn and off the Bristol Channel. That we must tap into. And Treasury at the moment say they want everything paid for in 30 years. If it was paid for in 60 years, the tidal lagoons would work very well.
All the parties actually, I think, are offering the tidal lagoons. So yeah, that's part of the mix as well.
So in summary, if you become our MP, how are you going to tackle climate change?
Well, I think it's all there in the Labour Party manifesto. We have a transformational manifesto that has green, carbon neutral elements, the carbon neutral goals at its core, and absolutely everything that we do in every aspect of local government, in every aspect of transport, energy, literally everything that we do. Our trade deals is going to be assessed for its carbon impact, and it's going to be written into the terms of reference of every department.
And Neil, how long have you been our MP for?
I've been 9.5 years.
9.5 years. And how would you summarise what you've achieved climate change-wise in those 9.5 years?
And the great benefit now of leaving the European Union is we're no longer part of the common agricultural policy, and so therefore we can actually have much greener policy for planting trees, for dealing with floods, and the way we manage our land. Because I don't think anybody in the country would actually say that the common agricultural policy was a huge benefit to the environment. So therefore let's take agriculture, farming, grassland, all of those things, because that's the mix. There's 2.5 times as much carbon in permanent pasture as well as in planting trees. So this is why I want to be so practical, and I'm up for it, and I will do it.
I read an article where it was disputed that the other day, but anyway. What I wanted to ask you is, you've been in power now for 9.5 years, and I think this election coming up now, everybody would agree, is the climate election. So you've been in power. What have you achieved?
Right, we've seen tenfold increase in solar panels. We've had the district council here put them all over the roofs of affordable homes and social homes. So therefore, like I said, a lot's been going on.
But emissions are going up and up and up, aren't
I've done inquiries into air quality and air pollution, and looking at the way we have more electric cars, charging points, all of those things. So like I said, we have got to remember that in the end we have a practical way of getting there, and you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to keep on that I'm not doing anything. I've been a very active MP.
I'm asking what you have been doing.
He's been voted to privatise our forests, and he has voted 15 times against climate action. So
we have put in policies that are delivering for the environment, and like I said, we've also got to make sure that as we move forward we have an economy that can actually pay for it, and that's what we're doing. And so therefore, I want to move on as well, and like I said, I also want to see some much better environment policies, especially on fishing as well, that also can be achieved by not being in the common fisheries policy. So lots of things can be done to improve the environment, not only in the atmosphere but in the sea as well. And again, I don't think anybody would want to defend the common fisheries policy on environmental grounds.
Thank you very much. May the best party win.
Thank you.